I went through her phone. Oopsies, don't do that. Not supposed to do that. Okay, anyways, moving on.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Made It Out. Today I'm here with the lesbian celebrity hairstylist, Rala, and we're talking about breakups that end in betrayal. Welcome to the couch.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And I actually met Rala before today.
Yep.
In a very odd way.
Yeah, we actually went on a date. Well, she was on a date with my friend, and I crashed her date.
Yes.
And it was when you first moved to LA, right?
Well, I was kind of new to LA. I was new to dating women. It was like right after I got out of a breakup with my first girlfriend. And my best friend had taken over my dating app. And she completely set up this date and was like, I'm actually going to go on the date with you. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get such a bad reputation.
Survival of the fittest, it feels like.
It was awful. The whole thing was a bad idea. I go on this date. It wasn't a very good date. And so I think she also called in like her team of backups, like her friends.
Right.
So now it was like all of us on this group.
We were on a group date.
But I loved the friends.
Yes.
So I'm happy to see you
yes.
again.
It's nice to see you again. Years later.
Yes. When you moved to LA, did you like start dating right away? Did you ease into it?
I was single for like a year and a half, and then I met my current ex who I dated for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the breakup we're talking about today.
That is the breakup we're talking
Yes. So take me through the relationship. How did you meet?
On Hinge.
Okay.
I know you guys are like sponsored.
Hinge. Yeah.
Shout out to Hinge. It actually is like the best dating app out of like all of them. And most of my clients meet on Hinge.
Wow.
Yeah, it's actually like they either meet at Hinge or at work.
Okay, so we met on Hinge.
Yeah, so we met on Hinge, and she was like more persistent towards me in the beginning, and I was a little more standoffish. And then I started warming up to her, and she just felt like home to me. Like she just felt very familiar, and that's like, I think in hindsight, I should have looked at as a red flag. But so she felt just very close to home, and I like felt like I had known her for years.
That is such an interesting point, because I think that reference when we say like, oh, you feel like home or you feel so familiar, that isn't always necessarily the best thing.
Yeah.
And maybe we should pick apart like what parts of home do you feel like?
Exactly. It just felt too familiar in the like not good ways. The other red flags were my body told me first. The moment I met her, I just felt it. There were so many moments I would be laying next to her and I would just be like, I feel like we're so far apart, but we're literally next to each other. Like I just can't describe it. It was really hard for me to go to sleep at night. Like I could not fall asleep throughout the night for a year, I would say. And especially it was bad when I was sleeping next to her.
Wow.
Another thing was, early on in our relationship, I had told her, I was like, maybe a month or two into us dating, I was like, I have this weird feeling that you're gonna drop a bomb on me one day. I said this 2 months into dating her. It was just like this weird gut feeling where I instantly just like almost like saw into the future. I gaslit myself and I was like, no, like I really want to be with this person. So we end up making it official at like a month and a half in. And then shortly after that, she's like, I don't think I can do this. I have a lot going on. And I noticed that I had this pattern. I was always into the like person who didn't want me. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. I said, okay, like that's okay. And I stood on business and I don't know what happened. Like the business just started standing on me. She was like reaching out and she would like want to hang out and I would, or she would call me and I would. And we just like kind of like fell back into this cycle.
There's something nice about being pursued like that.
Totally.
I understand how you could fall into that and be like,
Yes.
oh, but you really do. There's
You
something
want me.
special here. Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, just to feel desired is just like a human thing. And so I think that's what was going on there. And so then she was gonna go on this trip to go visit her best friend in Seattle after her graduation. And so I made sure she was like all set up with like all of her travel stuff. I was like, I'm going to take care of your dog. Like, you just like enjoy this time because this is like a big deal. Like, this is like after your graduation, whatever. So I was really excited for her. And before she had gone on this trip, I was reading like all of the cute cards people were writing her. And somebody had written in one of the cards, have so much fun in Chicago. I was like, oh, that's like so weird. I thought you were going to Seattle. And she was like, oh, like I am, like they're like somebody that goes to the gym, like they probably just forgot what I said and they just like wrote down a random city. And I was like, okay, like, and so she went and she was being so sweet. She was just like, I can't wait to see you. I love you so much. Just like being so kind to me while she was gone. And she was sending me photos on the trip. And I was like, like, I've never been to Chicago or Seattle, but I was like, this is not what I pictured Seattle to look like. And I voiced that. I said, this isn't like what I expected it to look like. And she was like, yeah, like it's a city. And I was like, okay. And so then she was sending me pictures of her best friend and the best friend's kids. And I was like, see, Rala, like, don't be crazy. Like, obviously, like, there's nothing going on. So she comes back. She meets all of my friends. It's Pride. And fast forward to like before the holiday, she gives me a call and she's like, oh my God, guess what? Like, my ex-girlfriend called me to tell me that she might be pregnant. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, she should probably figure that out. Like, why is she telling you that?
Had this ex been like lingering around? Had we heard anything of the ex?
No, they haven't talked in a year and a half.
Okay.
To my knowledge. And so I was like, oh, that's like really strange. Like, I feel like that's very personal information that you wouldn't share with somebody. And she's like, Rala, like, don't make this a big deal. She's just like one of those type of people that like is an overshare and like tells everybody everything and like it's not a big deal. And I was like, okay, like I trust you. I'm just telling you this just doesn't feel okay right now. And so I think like it was like 2 weeks later, it just never sat right with me.
Woman's intuition.
Your body will tell you first. I went through her phone. Oopsies, don't do that. Not supposed to do that. Okay, anyways, moving on. And I found her texting this person who had a gender neutral name, and it was just super inappropriate, things you would not text if you had a girlfriend.
Like emotional connection type things, or are we sexting?
It was both.
Oh no.
You know, I like read like a few texts and immediately saw red and was like, what is this? Yeah. And I confronted her immediately. So I really did not go through the whole conversation.
Good. I wouldn't want to.
Yeah, I know. And my toxic side wanted to, but I think I just, it was too late. I already was like, I just saw red and was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And so she was like, oh my, I can explain. He's helped me out in the past. And immediately I was like, like, what? And she was like, yeah, he's like helped me pay bills. He was going to help me pay first and last month's rent. And I was like, what? Like, are you sleeping with this guy? I was like, what? And I was like, listen, I do not give a fuck if you have a sugar daddy. Like, hand that phone over to me. Like, I can do it better than you. Like, give me a 10% manager fee. Like, give me a cut. Like, I do not care. It's just the fact that you're lying about it. Mm-hmm. Now you made it weird. Like, I didn't care before. Mm-hmm. And so she was like, Rala, like, we can go through, like, everything. And so she didn't realize you could go through deleted text messages.
Oh, no.
And she started to freak out. And I recovered her deleted text messages with her ex-girlfriend. And it was nothing. It was all seemingly innocent. They were just, it seemed like they were on the phone exchanging photos back and forth. Like, this is my dog. This is my new apartment. Like, almost like they were just like playing catch up. Mm-hmm. We had a heart to heart that night. And she was like, Rala, like, I feel so terrible that you found out this way, but also so relieved that we can just like move forward and like be like this weight is taken off our shoulders. And I just like, I promise like I'll never do this to you ever again. And it just felt so real. She was crying. It was just like very emotional. And I was just like, okay, like I just don't feel comfortable with you connecting with your ex anymore because these text messages were deleted. And I just feel like things are kind of, lines are being crossed right now. And so she cut communication with her, and I was home one day and I was like, wait, where does her ex-girlfriend live?
Oh, no.
And so I went on her Instagram and her bio said Chicago. And I was like, why do I keep seeing Chicago? Like, this is so weird. Like, this has got to be like, this is the weirdest coincidence. So I was like, wait a second, let me go back on those photos she was sending me from the trip that I was originally suspicious about. Put those in Google image reverse.
No, it's like Neve.
Yes. They all showed up Chicago.
No, fuck no.
I texted her. I said, did you go to Chicago or did you go to Seattle? She said, I went to Seattle. I said, really? Because I think you went to Chicago and lied to me, and sent her the Google image reverse photos.
There is so much to unpack because it's like, okay, the lie, but also the audacity to like insult your intelligence like that. Like, think that you don't know how to find out
bitch,
what Chicago is. Like, yeah, like
I knew something was up, but I just was like, I don't want to be in a crazy relationship. I'm going to lean into trust until like I'm proven wrong. Totally. And that's where I was coming from. I wasn't naive. I just did not want to be in a crazy relationship anymore. I was like, I want a mature relationship. So I'm not, if you tell me you're somewhere, that's where you are to me. And so she was like, Rala, like, okay, so I like flew out to Chicago and I slept on the air mattress. It was just like a friend's trip, and she had just moved there and needed people to like comfort her in her new city. And the most shocking part is that I continued to talk to her. The only way to describe it is that I literally felt like I was an addict, and I just kept relapsing and relapsing and relapsing. And the one thing that could make me feel better was also causing me so much pain. And it was just this vicious cycle. And during this time, I just kept finding out more and more, and nothing was coming from her. And I would be like, please tell me everything. Like, please just tell me the truth. And she'd be like, Rala, like, I would have to be making something up to like, you know, everything. Like, I would literally have to make something up to tell you something. And I'd be like, finding out that the dog that was around all the time was not her friend's dog. It was her ex-girlfriend's dog that she was watching, that they were having like private photo shoots together, that when I would be out of town, they would be hanging out together and like taking each other's workout classes. And I had left something at her house and drove 2 hours to go pick it up. It was like an important thing. And I noticed this package from a store that she would never shop at. And so I looked at it and I was like, wait, this isn't her name. So I texted her. I said, whose package is this? And I'm like, is she like sleeping with is there another girl living here? Like, what is like, I did not know who I was dating at this point. It was very like, I just felt so blindsided. And she was like, Rala, like, it's my neighbor across the hall's package. Like, I accidentally opened it up thinking it was my package and was too embarrassed to give it back to her. And I was like, girl, this is a $300 package. If you don't go over next door and give this girl her damn skinny jeans back, I'm knocking on her door and giving them back myself. And she was freaking out and was like, oh my God, Rala, like, stop. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, I'll go do it. Like, stop. There was so much going on at this time that I did not even have time to process these damn skinny jeans, okay? But in hindsight, months and months later, I learned that she was stealing packages, and she stole her neighbor's package.
What?
Yes.
Oh my God. I thought this was going to be the ex's package. But
it wasn't
on top
her ex's
of being
name.
A cheater, she's a package thief.
She's stealing, she's klepto.
Oh my God. I'm shook.
Yes. I think the last straw was that I found out that it was never the ex-girlfriend that got pregnant. It was her sister, and my ex-girlfriend lied about it. And I was like...
Wait, whose sister?
The ex-girlfriend's sister was pregnant, not the ex-girlfriend.
What?
Yeah, like the lies had lies. Like the picture she was sending me on the trip of the best friend, she said was from the year before that she took. She never even went to Seattle before. Like, she was sending me fake photos. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah. And so I finally like came to terms, and I was just like, listen, I surrender to not knowing the full story, and I'm at peace with not knowing the full story. I know that once I overcome this, I'm able to be in a healthy, happy relationship because I can be vulnerable, I can be honest, I can be loving and caring, and you are a coward, and that is hell in and of itself, and that is your karma.
Yeah.
And she just finally like confessed everything, and that she was living this double life the whole time. She was dating me and the ex-girlfriend at the same time, sleeping with us at the same time, and yeah, obviously never was sleeping on the couch in Chicago and was sleeping in her bed. And yeah.
All the while stealing packages.
Stealing packages.
I mean,
girl, pick a damn struggle. Fuck. God.
I mean, that's so tough. I think that's something that like I've struggled with too, like staying in relationships way too long because I've learned in my childhood, my parents have been married for 31 years, you know, and they've seen a lot of struggle and I've known about the struggle. So it's like, you don't leave.
Yeah.
You absolutely don't leave. But it's tough when you're in these young relationships or the wrong relationships, applying that message to those relationships. It doesn't work. You have to find the right person to give that to.
Exactly.
So that's tough.
I just like could not have a normal relationship with her. And I like came to terms with it one day and I just was like, I want this so bad, but it's not even what I want. And like, I have to cut this off because you're not even who I want you to be anymore. And there's no coming back from this. Like the trauma is down in my body, is rejecting you. I like couldn't be intimate anymore. Like I just like, it ruined everything.
Yeah, I had a relationship that was really similar to this. And I would play all these games with myself. I'm like a woo-woo bitch. Like, and I would be like, okay, if it's done, if universe, if you want me to be done with this girl,
that shit.
Send me, like, I was like, okay, what's something you don't see every day? And I was like, we don't really see slug bugs anymore, those beetles. I was like, okay, send me a gold slug bug. When are you going to see a goddamn gold slug bug? So we are sitting on my street in her car, just fucking fighting like crazy, yelling at each other, whatever. And I fucking see a gold beetle go by and I stopped the fight. I literally said to her, did you just see a gold slug bug? But it was things like that. And I would still fight it. I'd be like, nah,
Dude,
no.
that's me. I literally was like, okay, if I find out this one more thing, like, then I'll leave her. Like, if she was really cheating, then I'll leave. I did not leave. I kept going. Like, I just gaslit myself. I was like, dude, it's fine.
Totally. But I think you have to get to a point, like what you said.
You're just tired of it.
And there's no coming back from this.
Yes.
Even if we got things back to equilibrium and we could like not yell at each other and we could just be even keel, there is still so much to unpack.
That's what I always say. Like, even if we hit baseline, we are still so far behind. And I just was like, this is just an uphill battle. And I just like tap out.
There's something better out there. That's not how it has to be. That's not how it's going to be.
Yeah.
If it's the right person in the right relationship.
Right. And my friends would tell me all the time, like, no one is gonna be able to convince you. You have to be at that point yourself to be like, I am done. No one can tell you when to walk away. Like, you have to be sick of it to walk away. You have to do it coming from within. And I just remember when I was not ready, but my friends were like, girl, you need to leave her. I just was like, I was keeping secrets. I wasn't being honest. It was like, and it became very isolating because I could not share me like being with this person with other people because I was so embarrassed with what I was able to, what I was accepting. And it became like, oh my God, it like feels like us against everything. Girl, it was not us against everything. It was her against the bill collectors. Like, call a spade a spade. Like, I just was in this like fantasy land and I just like made it out to be something it wasn't. And I just had to come to a point where I was like, I cannot continue this anymore.
Yeah. I think in life, a lot of things are like that. You have to get to a point within yourself where you're so fucking fed up.
Sobriety.
Yeah.
Toxic relationships, jobs. Like, I think you have to hit whatever your breaking point is and what you're willing to put up with. That's when you're able to walk away.
To pull yourself out. Since the breakup, what emotions do you think you've experienced the most?
Just reliving the trauma every day. Everything would trigger me. Watching TV, scrolling online, talking to people. Like, everything would just bring, like, I'd somehow find a way to connect it. And it was just like a burden I carried with me every day. And so I honestly just felt so much anger. And that was like the predominant emotion I felt. I felt very used. I felt like a prop in somebody's life just to help them get over somebody else. I felt like I didn't have any rights by her lying. I feel like she made choices for me. I felt so violated. I thought I was in a monogamous relationship and I wasn't, and I didn't even have like rights, felt like, to my health. So those were like what I was like immediately feeling for a while.
How do you think you overcame the anger?
I kind of just let myself sit in it, but I don't let myself sit in things for too long. I think in the beginning of the breakup, I made sure I had a really regimented routine. So I was very like making sure my schedule was really packed, so I didn't have too much time to harp on this other person. And so that was one thing I did. I think it helped me to make physical changes. So I switched gyms. I like changed my perfume, like just rearranged my room, just like physical changes, like things that she's never seen this before. She's never smelled this perfume before. And it just kind of connected my mind to like physical things happening. And yeah, I just started doing that. And over time, you just have clarity when you're in it. You just do not see what is actually going on, and you don't take things at face value because your feelings are still in it. But once you have clarity and you take space from it, you're like, I could see this for what it really was. You know?
The physical change is really interesting. It brings me back to my dad when I went through one of my first breakups and we lived together and I moved into a new apartment. And my dad said, the only thing I'm going to tell you is do not let him into your new apartment. Do not let him into your physical space. This was when I was still dating men. And every time I've been through a breakup, I typically do move. And that has stuck with me. Like, I don't spoil your new space. Like, let that be only yours. So that you can have somewhere that doesn't remind you of them.
100%. That's why I ended up like changing gyms. She didn't live near me, but we'd always go to that gym. I was just like, I don't want to go into this gym and think about her. Like, let me just go into like a fresh space. And it's just like your mind connects with that physical aspect of it. And yeah, I think that was very helpful.
That's great practical advice. How do you think the betrayal affected your self-esteem?
So when we were consistently seeing each other, I just always felt like I was never enough for her, and I always fell short. And so I never really sat back and thought like, okay, like, is she enough for me? Like, because if you run the facts, like, her credit score is trash. She wasn't kind. I'm not going to call another woman ugly, but she wasn't winning any beauty pageants. And I wanted to be the star in her eyes.
So this was a much more internal thing.
It was very internal. And so I got into this cycle of having to prove myself. And I was like, I am already walking into this relationship not enough, so I can't have needs because I already am not enough without needs. So I'm going to abandon everything I want and I need and throw that to the side and just prove to this person that I'm worth loving. And I think it just trickled into everything. Like, I just felt like I was like, why was I not enough alone, like as just like myself, enough to keep you from cheating on me? Like, why wasn't enough to keep you loyal? And I just think that it made me very self-conscious. It just, it really hurt my self-esteem a lot.
What have you done to rebuild that?
Just listening to what your body is saying, you rebuild that trust with yourself. And that's something that I think I really lost. And I think that plays a huge role in self-esteem. Like, if you don't trust yourself, you're not confident. And so I just started to listen to my body in all aspects of my life, not just relationships. Like, if I did not feel good about something, I did not need to sit there and figure out what was going on. I'm just going to listen to my body and trust that my body has my back.
I feel like I learned that a lot after my breakup of just like, what feels good to me? Who am I? What do I like to do? And just listening to that was such an important muscle.
Totally.
Has this experience affected how you date now?
I think it definitely has. There were aspects about me in the beginning that I think I really loved, that I was able to love so deeply. I think that I'm just kind of shifting and tweaking now, that I'm not being so open and giving so much of myself to somebody who has not proven their worth to me. And Currently, I think I'm still in a raw space, and I don't want to hurt anybody, and I want to heal, and I don't want to look for a person from an unhealed place. So I think I want to just kind of, like figure out some things that I haven't, resolved in the past, and kind of figure those things out before I like go and look for a new partner.
I bet the next one that you meet is going to be the one. I'm predicting it.
Oh my God. We're gonna have her on the podcast.
Because I think once you go and do the deep work,
yes,
then
I
you
think
start
I needed
dating.
that. I really needed. It was such a lesson I needed to learn, because I was honestly always going for the person that did not want me, and I finally got what I wanted. I got the person that did not want me to commit, and in the end, it wasn't all that I thought it was gonna be. Like it cost me so much to be in something that felt so cheap.
Is there anything that you haven't had the chance to say to your ex that you wish you could?
That's a good one. That's tough. I definitely told her about herself a lot.
Fair.
So there wasn't a lot left unsaid.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah. So I think I would just say that, like, I just honestly wish and hope that she finds the resources and finds the help, because I can't imagine the weight and the darkness that she carries with her every single day. And I honestly just hope she finds the help to free herself and, like live a like honest life.
Authentic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I love that. I think that says a lot about you and the work that you've done. So
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. Thank you. What advice do you have for somebody who's going through a breakup that's ended in betrayal?
I think a lot of times we can focus on the other person and think like, okay, well, what if they find somebody else? And like, what if they move on? And what if their life gets better? And I think taking the focus off of them and putting it back onto yourself. And it's like, well, what if you find somebody? What if you end up happy? What if you become successful? And that has definitely helped me. I think another piece of advice is that if you find yourself in a relationship where you are feeling like you need to prove yourself, it is not your sign to give more of yourself for less in return. It is your sign to walk away. You do not need to sit around and figure out why they are avoidant, why they don't want to date you, why they can't get over their ex. It is not your job. It is enough evidence that they are not showing up for you, that they are not enough for you to walk away. You do not need to sit there and traumatize yourself with the reasons and the whys. You don't need that to walk away.
Love that. I hope everybody takes a page out of that book. What are you working on in therapy?
I'm pretty new to therapy. I started this year, so I didn't really fully understand like what I wanted to really talk about. In the beginning, it was a lot about the betrayal. And I soon realized that the betrayal and everything that I had gone through had nothing to do with that person. And it was a product of all of my unhealed childhood trauma. And I was trying to scratch the surface by talking about this betrayal when there is a whole layer of rooted things that actually got me to this place where I was choosing and accepting this person.
I think it's such a reflection of how relationships can just be a mirror of where we are with ourselves. I mean, it could have been anybody, really, is what it sounds like.
That's like a huge part about it that I think in hindsight that I'm like, she could have literally been anybody. And I have dated this person in many different bodies, and I was dating a pattern, and she was just a byproduct of all of the unhealed trauma that I did not work through.
Yeah. Okay. We play a game.
Okay.
It's called You Holler, You Ghost.
Okay.
No in between. You show up to the date and she has really bad roots.
Fuck. Okay. I like to fix people, so you all. And I would fix her hair immediately. I'd be like, you are a project and you're coming with me.
I feel like as a hairstylist, that's probably your first thing you notice about people.
I always do the people who I'm dating's hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And I do notice their hair. Yeah.
Even today,
I'm
getting
not
ready,
judging, but I notice.
Matilda was like, you better have a good hair day.
Yeah,
She does
I
hair.
saw your
like,
little clip and do. I was like, she knows.
the roller.
Yes.
Okay. All of the socks that she owns have something like weird on them. Like pizzas, or they're fuzzy, or they have like weird balls on them.
Dude, I'm ghosting. Ghosting the fuck out of her.
I feel like that's our sock drawer.
Oh, fuck. I think I'm just like I like a black and white. Maybe we'll throw a gray in there.
That's
and
fair.
Maybe a fun sock in there randomly.
Just not mostly
Not all of
weird
them.
socks. Yeah, that's fair. What if she has a really strict bedtime of 9 p.m. like every night, no excuse?
You hold the fuck out of this girl.
Yeah?
That is me. My bonnet's on. My face mask is on. My program is on. Like, perfect.
Yeah, I like this too.
Yeah, I think, I don't want to be with somebody who's like a night owl or out all the time. I'm very much like a homebody. So like 9 p.m., we're like, we're good.
Are you a morning person too?
Yes.
Yes, it's a good sign that that person's waking up.
Yes, they're getting their shit done.
I like it.
Okay, we agree.
Okay, what about if she's her ex's personal assistant?
Fucking, you're getting fired and you ghost. Yeah, I'm personally firing you.
It's like weird. It's giving kind of like your ex is your best friend vibe.
Yeah.
But like worse.
Yeah,
Why do you
she's
work with your ex?
She's like she's your boss. It's like a weird like power dynamic. No, we're ghosting.
It feels like you're clinging on to something that you need to let go of.
desperate.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Ghost.
ghosting. Ghost, super ghost.
Where can people find you?
On Instagram and TikTok at Hair by Rala.
Come get your hair done.
Yes, DM me.
Yes.
Okay.
And then whatever your last words are. Any advice or just a cheers?
I would say just know your worth and trust your body and just don't steal packages. Cheers.
Thank y'all for listening to today's episode. As always, help us spread the gay agenda by writing an Apple review, rating us on Spotify, and sharing it with everyone you've ever met. Made It Out is produced and edited by Matilda Jordan and worked on solely by lesbians.
Pride is almost here. Corporations turn rainbow 1 month of the year.